should come right out from the start and confess that I can't conclusively prove, with evidence admissible in a court of law, that God exists. He seems to have designed things that way in order to leave us with a choice. The best I can do is show that no one behaves as if the natural universe is really all that exists. Try to imagine that the physical universe is really all there is, that everything that occurs is completely caused by the physical events that came before it. Nothing ever happens that isn't entirely forced by prior physical events. In such a reality, the entirety of the universe would be an incomprehensibly large mechanism, a wholly caused, predetermined machine. It requires some effort to clearly visualize such a scenario, because we humans have several abilities that would be impossible in such a reality, and we use those abilities so often and so effortlessly that we take them for granted and rarely notice them at all. But it's important to get this concept of 100% physical causation clear in your mind, or you may miss the utter absurdity inherent in atheism. If all events have entirely physical causes, you would have been destined from the dawn of time to be watching this video at this moment, and there has never been the possibility of anything else. The key characteristic of such a system would be summed up by the word force. Everything would be forced in an inevitable sequence of events from the birth of the universe to the end of time. In such a reality, someone with enough information and a big enough computer could perfectly predict everything that will occur 1,000,000 years into the future. There is no might happen. There is only what will happen. Nothing else is possible or ever has been possible. Now, if all events have 100% physical causes, it turns out we'll have to stop using certain words because the concepts they represent become meaningless. The first words we'll have to dispense with are choice, decision, and free will. If all events are physically caused, then you have no ability to choose what you do. If all your actions are forced, then they have no significance or meaning, so we'll have to do away with those as well. What will be, and you have no possibility of changing it, no chance of making a dent in eternity. We'd also have to get rid of every moral concept, such as right and wrong, fairness and justice, good and bad. In fact, it isn't just morality, but all valuations, such as the idea of one outcome being preferable to another, that go out the window. And that also annihilates rights, responsibilities, and anything having to do with the word should. We'll also have to banish the word truth, because everything you believe you know is now determined by the arrangement of the electrons in your brain, electrons that were pushed into place by prior physical events. So belief would turn out to be an illusion, but so would knowledge, logic, and all rational thought. This is why atheists are unintentionally funny when they tell us how rational they are compared to everybody else. In a naturalistic universe, everything, including this sentence, would be irredeemable, unknowable gibberish. We'd also have to lose purpose, motivation, hope, and the answer to any question beginning with the word why. There would be no valid reason to get out of bed in the morning, or for that matter, to continue breathing. In such a reality, your entire existence would be merely a temporary swirl of physical activity, a short-lived electrochemical mechanical reaction, whose every action is utterly, irresistibly predetermined. Your mind would be entirely a product of your physical brain, which means you wouldn't have a spirit or soul, so none of what I've said so far would bother you for long, because it turns out that ultimately there would be no such thing as you. So here's my point. Although increasing numbers of people claim to be atheists, absolutely no one behaves as if atheism is actually true. For the mere act of asserting that you don't believe in God shows you don't understand how pointless it would be under such a system to assert belief or disbelief in God or anything else. In short, if atheists are right, they gain nothing, for they can change nothing. They have failed to follow naturalism to its necessary, unavoidable end. Instead, they want a pick-and-choose philosophy that allows them to escape responsibilities and transcendent moral codes while still holding on to significance, truth, logic, knowledge, superiority, and rational thought. They claim God doesn't exist, but they can't help sneaking into his workshop and using his tools. Some might object to my thought experiment, saying that science suggests the possibility of uncaused or random events. But randomness, if it exists, still wouldn't fix the problem. Those words we have discarded can't result from a purely physical cause, but they can't arise from no cause at all either. For an event that occurs for no reason at all is no more meaningful than one that is entirely forced. Free will, morality, valuation, truth, and especially consciousness and significance. There is no substance in the universe from which these things can be made. No law of physics that even allows for their existence. This is because they are not products of the physical universe. And if they were, then they would not be what we universally believe them and ourselves to be. What is needed is a cause that is both non-physical and non-random. A third type of cause from outside of nature, a supernatural cause. And it's fortunate that such causes exist, for the ramifications of a reality without supernature are utterly intolerable to humans. That is because we are all supernatural beings who are currently having a temporary physical experience. It's also the reason that no one, not even those who claim to believe it, behaves as if naturalism is actually true.